So I know I've talked to probably almost 600 people myself.
Yeah.
Already. I mean, I'm from here, 46 years, so
Yep.
a lot of people know me, and they reach out. So I'm pretty sure if you reach out to anybody, they're gonna answer your questions, Tom.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know there's ways that's going on. I'm just saying this is another way, you know, to get to know the candidates. I mean,
Right. But I think COVID or not doesn't really hinder what you can reach out and get a hold of somebody, COVID or not.
Well, I think what Tom's getting at is being proactive and getting the most amount of communication out to the most amount of people at the same time, and being the most equitable about it, I guess. So
My phone.
Eric, you just shut off your
There.
microphone.
I've left the meeting. Well, they will log in. Green Mountain Access TV has worked on the connection apparently. So I was able to get in.
I think I'm open to being a part of that. In terms of the timeline, I don't know. I think it would have to happen in the next week or so.
It would.
I'm out of town the week before, and I know a lot of people are with school break, so I'm out of town the week of the 21st. But I would be happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, we have one more meeting before town meeting.
Yeah.
And that's your informational meeting
Yeah.
on top of other agenda items. It's
Right.
gonna be a long one anyway.
No.
I don't see it as something the select board would be in charge of. I don't remember, like, when the people were running for the House, somebody else set that up.
Yes.
And I don't remember who did
Yeah,
it.
it has to be-
Democratic Party or Republican
Typically, it's
Party.
a local news agency,
Right.
or news and might have a candidates forum in
Okay,
an atmosphere like this,
yeah.
if they so chose, but.
It has to be a structured event. I mean, you can't just go in there willy-nilly and let everybody ask questions, any
Yeah.
type of question they want to ask.
Yeah.
Typically, I know when I was in legislature, typically what you do is you get, I can't remember who else set them up, but probably a news agency that gives you a set of questions that you're gonna have to answer. And so it gives you a chance to be a little bit prepared, but it also keeps the meeting from getting out of control, and it also keeps it at a reasonable length of time. But it has to be structured, and you have to have a good moderator to be able to cut people off and to make it work. I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I mean, it doesn't bother me any, but it's just to get the thing going. I mean, you gotta get structure it.
How long did it take you guys?
It took a while.
Yeah,
It took a while, a couple months before we,
yeah.
working with the moderator and trying to set it up, and it wasn't like overnight. It wasn't, I doubt very much we'd have time to put something together before 3 weeks from now.
Or something of that scale, would it maybe there's something at a smaller scale that you could, I mean, I'm just throwing this out, I'd love to see.
Right, we also had to pay the guy to do it. We paid the gentleman to do the moderation. Lori, you had a question or comment?
Well, I was going to say, talking with News and Citizen, Laura Straits, I'm a candidate. Part of the problem this year is the ballots going out early and the votes happen. So
Right.
because there was such a short window of time of when we decided on the ballots, this is a very unusual year. So this year it's like next to impossible. But I think if you read the News and Citizen, they again, are basically have posed the questions. They're just doing it in print form. And it'll be digital and in print coming to your
Okay.
mailbox. And I think there's, it's pretty easy to find everybody. 3 of us are here. 3
Yeah.
more up there.
I hadn't thought about that, the ballots, people will vote before we even get a chance to have the,
Right, yeah.
And that's why News and Citizen, literally, like Tommy emailed us Friday night,
Yeah.
Saturday morning, it
Yeah.
was like, it has to be in, because he's trying to beat that, he's
The
trying to
ballot.
get the information out before the ballot,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's not a bad idea, Tom, maybe if it were going forward or something like that, you know,
Sure. Yeah.
but,
And I don't think you find anybody would be opposed to doing it. I mean, I certainly wouldn't
No,
be, but.
sure, I know.
But, yeah, and that's a good idea, Laura, or a good thought about the early ballots going out, and,
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause some people are gonna vote before you even have a chance to have the debate.
right.
For a side note from the postmaster, he's still receiving ballots from the pod and the ATV vote.
They had 2 come in today, that's absolutely correct. They had 2 come in today that were returned, no address, or address not available,
Yeah.
just today from the December vote. So the mail is, they're doing their best.
Yeah,
There's another note that Sarah Haskins mentioned in that email, which was because of that situation, some ballots just trickling in now from November. The best way to get your ballot here is just to bring it in person.
yeah,
I do know that poses, I had somebody reach out to me today, or this weekend, through my select board email account and just say that not including return postage really does pose a problem for people who have transportation or mobility issues. So I'm wondering, I remember it being mentioned in a recent meeting. Is there something in place where I don't know if this gets into issues of around, the laws around voting, but is there a way that if someone can't get their ballot here and they can't afford postage, can they reach out to someone in the BCA? Yes.
Yeah, Board of Civil Authority.
we talked about it, didn't we, Ed?
Yeah, my name is Ed Wilson. I've been on the Board of Civil Authority for over 20 years. And we're the ones who help oversee the elections.
Yes.
I personally and other members of the board have gone to nursing homes, private residences. We set up outside so there's drive-throughs. There is absolutely no reason before mail-in voting or now that anyone couldn't get a ballot.
Okay, so they should reach out to the Board of Civil Authority or to Sarah Haskins?
They could reach out to Sarah.
Yeah.
That's the way it's been for years.
Okay, I'm just answering on behalf of a constituent, and I didn't know that, so.
Well,
And I'm just- it's now
I think a
important.
lot of people didn't know that, and that's why they elected to ask for mail-in voting. If
Yeah.
anyone in the room has ever heard of anyone in Morristown who wasn't able to vote because they couldn't get a ballot, I'd like to hear of it. It's
Right.
never happened, and as long as I'm on the board, it won't happen.
Great.
We even go out, people can pull up in the front here on the day of voting. A ballot will be taken out to them,
Yeah.
they can vote in their car,
Yeah.
and we'll bring it back in. There has to be a
Right.
Democrat and Republican go, like Ed would go, and somebody else would go with them. So
Mhm.
2 people are going each
Yeah.
time to these places and supplying the ballots.
Okay.
During the last election, there was a concern because of the number of homeless people, that there were homeless people staying at the Sunset Motel. And they asked Sarah to do something. So Sarah, Judy, and I went over there and set up a table at the Sunset to make sure that those people would be registered, and if they had left the home where they were, their home address and didn't get their ballot, they would then get a ballot there. Like I said, there is no reason now, there has never been anyone who has said, I could not get a ballot in Morristown, and that's why I was unable to vote.
Yeah, I think, and I really appreciate that, all the work that you do on the BCA, and I've only been to one BCA meeting, and I mean, everyone is really working hard and extremely intelligent and experienced, so I don't mean to question that. I think what you're saying is that people might not know that's available to them, and that's where a lot of the concern and issues are arising. So it's really great to know that if anyone needs a ballot or a ballot returned, we have their back. The BCA will make it happen.
Perhaps if the select board made that more known
Yes.
throughout the year, then it wouldn't be necessary to waste the town's money sending out ballots and sending postages. Like I say, I still haven't heard of anyone who has ever heard of not being able to get a ballot.
Yeah, and if
Okay, well,
anybody
that's
wants to vote, they
fine.
call town clerk.
And it's been
Town
that
clerk has
way.
the answers to everything.
I've been the town
Yeah.
clerk for about 5 years. My wife was the
Yes.
town clerk for 26 years before
yes.
that. And
Yes.
there's never been a problem with it.
Yes. I appreciate that.
I want to make sure too that, but like what he said, because I've been on one of those meetings where we went to Morristown, and there has to be a Democrat and a Republican,
Republican,
Yeah.
right?
so there's no,
Right.
just to be safe.
And I also want to make the point that just because we don't hear about something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Because there are a lot of issues of accessibility around people just not knowing how, who to call. How to, what link to.
It's the town. I mean, I think that's a pretty obvious thing. If you want to know about voting, you call the town.
I know, it's obvious
Call
to
the town
us
clerk.
because we're all involved with town government, but it's, this is about educating people and being really transparent, and I just want to put it out there that even the most intelligent, well-educated people don't always know who to call.
It's like the last meeting, BCA meeting, we talked about, well, maybe we should start going door to door to every house, you know.
Or
So-
a better idea would be to up the $5,000 so that everyone who votes would get a $10, $20, $30, $40, $50 stipend.
Yeah,
I mean, it's only money.
right. Exactly.
But what I'll say to this whole thing is that as a town staff, we've been hearing for months now, numerous meetings of folks perhaps not having the information they need for a variety of issues that the town deals with. And we're constantly talking about ways of providing education through the website, front porch forum, whatever media we can present on these issues in advance of them going forward to try and help to relieve that piece of it. So I'm making a note today, I'll talk to Sarah Haskins tomorrow, and going forward, we'll continue to work on the education piece so that those that may not have it, will get it from us.
Okay. All right. And is there any more community concerns? All right, we'll move on. Is there a liquor control tonight?
There it is.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to go into liquor control?
So moved.
Second.
Second? I have a motion by Judy and a second by Gary. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? We are now in liquor control. Sarah there?
She is not, she has family here from out of the country, so
Okay.
she has already vetted this through Jason and for PD.
Yep.
Jason,
So Jason can talk.
there he is.
Yeah, well, everything looks fine with me,
Okay.
no issues,
These are all renewals.
No issues.
no issues.
All right, do I hear a motion regarding these?
I'll make a motion, we approve them all.
I have a motion by Brian. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Second by Gary. Is there any further discussion?
I'd like to know just one, who's the Jiffy Mart, what's that one?
It's across from the radio station.
Yeah, that's,
That's
was
what I
Max.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure before I go over there, I wanted to make sure I knew which one it was.
Right, that's good, that's a good thing. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to come out of liquor control by Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
The second by Judy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now back in the regular select board meeting. All right, we'll move on to old business, which is discuss the town plan language added by the village trustees. Todd, would you like to help us with that?
Sure, on page 29 of your meeting package, the trustees at their last meeting added a simple clause to the sentence the select board added at prior meeting. So I need the select board to bless this language so we can go ahead and warn final hearings for the plan. So
That's in the red?
that's in the red, on the top of page 29. So the sentence the select board added was all road improvement projects, including those mentioned above, should be planned with measures to increase safety and accessibility for bicycle riders and pedestrians. The trustees thought that was too open-ended and not, and I don't want to say reckless with the budget, but they were worried about budget concerns. So the language they added at the end is, with due consideration given for budgetary concerns as approved by town meeting. So pretty simple.
Okay.
So that's all we need to do tonight, is just bless that one little addition, and we have matching town plans again, and we're in a good space.
Okay. Is there any comments about that from the board?
So that means that in order to add anything around accessibility for bicycle riders and pedestrians, it has to be approved at town meeting? It can't be approved by the select board? Or does that just mean that it would have to fall under the budget?
The budget's approved by town meeting.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then we would have the authority to.
Right.
Okay.
Their word of language without that clause could be used against the town by a special interest group. For a big ticket item, they talk about sidewalks on Randolph Road or Stagecoach Road or something like that.
Oh, like bike lanes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. You don't need a motion, just,
No, you need a motion.
We do.
Yeah.
okay, do I hear one?
Can we approve this one?
I have a motion by Brian. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Judy. Is there any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously.
Pretty simple. So at this juncture, Eric's giving the plan to LCPC for regional approval.
Okay.
We'll give them a few weeks to hear back and see if there's any comments or suggestions. After that, if we either respond to those and make any changes that they need or decide to make changes if they need. And then if there are none, we just warn final hearings, then you can vote on the plan at the next meeting. So in theory, you're depending on LCPC's timeline, beginning of February. They should get back to us, I imagine, within the month. So you can warn a hearing later in March and probably approve the plan in April.
Okay.
I may be able then that I actually have a meeting with LCPC on Thursday this week to discuss, they've gone over the town plan, they had a meeting with their board, I think, since they received it. And so I'll hear from them on Thursday this week of any concerns they may have with their town plan. And because I'm not going to wait the full 2 weeks of the next meeting to brief you, I'll send you out a synopsis of what I hear from them, and what their concerns are. And we'll go from there. I'll bring it to Tom and then I'll just take a look at it.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
All right. We'll move into new business. Number 1, presentation by Lamoille County Mental Health Services. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Michael Hartman, I'm the relatively new CEO at Vermont County Mental Health.
Good for you.
Well, most days, yeah. I'm just trying to pass it down for you. So. I brought some copies of our annual report, which is from last fall, end of the year for us. When we do that is October. And I wanted to just give you a quick overview of what we've been up to. It's been a while since I've been over here. So we're an organization with almost all of our offices in Morrisville, Morristown. We have one place out at Johnson, and we're having another one shortly, a smaller residential program, and one in Hyde Park. But then we have Copley House up the hill here, and our main building on Harold Street. We're currently also renting a space at the plaza. We had to enlarge the room that we needed because of COVID, so we had extra space. And we also have a space up next to the hospital across from the ED, that little building there. So most of the work that we do has been in Morrisville, but unfortunately with COVID, we've also been doing a lot of business over telehealth. So a lot of the employees that we have, which is currently around 220, which is about 50 short of where we normally would want to be. We've had a lot of, like a lot of businesses, we've had a lot of changes with people leaving, mostly leaving and not going to work someplace else, but because of childcare and other issues, really not being able to continue to work for us in the time being. We've had some people come back, but we seem to be able to stay right around that number between 215 and 225. Most of the folks who work for us live locally, and a pretty good sizable number live in town here, but if not in town, Elmore and some of the surrounding towns. I think we have a pretty good record with our neighbors and the folks who are next to our buildings, that we've been good neighbors, have let people use our facilities when they needed to, et cetera. And at this point, we don't have any big project or anything on the horizon. We have done pretty well in terms of managed growth, where we've gone up to, I believe, when I came on as a staff there in 2013, we probably had a budget of about $14 million, somewhere around there, and we're now at about 18.4, with a big portion of that being schools and services to school, mental health services, and then the children's program in general. That's about the biggest group of population that we serve is kids 0 to 18, 19. And then we serve people who have developmental disabilities and mental health challenges, about equally, with about 1,200 people a year getting services, and the number of services is close to 100,000 at a time. That's it's a lot of numbers, but we have done pretty well through COVID in terms of we were just right at the edge of starting to make some technical changes. We happened to just get in a new server and IT system right before COVID hit, and then just as it got underway real big in the fall of 20, we had a new electronic medical record put in, and then this past November we started with a new telephone system. And that was actually, as some of you know how life works, the telephone system was why we were getting all the other stuff, because it was so old we couldn't make it any bigger. So it's all worked out pretty well, but our staff did a great job, and people in the community did a great job of helping us out, being able to switch over from doing a lot of our things face-to-face with people and doing them via telephone and telehealth. That's kind of stuck around through the last 2 years, and I expect we will continue to do a fair amount of that service, which has been helpful for some people with transportation issues, etc. At this point, we're involved in a couple of different workings with partners. We work very regularly with the hospital here in the ED just about every day, sometimes multiple times a day with our mobile crisis team. And it's been pretty busy up there. We've had to draw on the police department to help try to cover things for us in terms of sometimes we got 3 or 4 people up there that we're trying to work with, and then something happens in another part of town. We work a lot with the Morristown Police. We work a lot with the Sheriff's Department. We work a lot with Stowe and a wee bit with Hardwick as well. And I think our relationships are pretty good. I think they could always be better. We have been lucky that we were able to get a grant from the state to start having an embedded crisis worker at the state police, with the state police out of Williston, who will be working in Monroe County in a shared arrangement. And what we're looking for to happen as soon as we can figure out where to how to put it all together is also to have an embedded crisis worker working with Morristown Police, working with the Sheriff's Department, working with Stowe. Talked a lot with Roger Marcoux about it, talked to Chief Keith about it before he departed. Haven't had a chance to talk to his successor about it yet.
That would be Jason right there.
Yeah. So haven't even had a chance to meet you yet. It's good to see you. But I think everybody's been stressed. It's been a hard time, and so we are looking to hope that we'll get a position to be able to do that, and that will help with some of the demand that we put on the police. But we have a very high rate of contact with police, probably one of the highest ones of all the mental health agencies in the state. About 40% of our crisis calls involve the police one way or the other. So it's a pretty kind of hand-in-glove relationship, and we run into problems once in a while. We work them out, but mostly everything flows pretty well. And same with EMS services and other services like that. Work a lot with the mental health partners as well, and also with the family center, and various other groups in town and around the county. I'd say that we find that right now it's a very, very high demand time. We have all of the private mental health providers in the area are full. We get calls almost every day for people looking for some kind of mental health assistance. For the most part, we can get people some help within a few days to a few weeks. Sometimes it's taken longer than that more recently, because usually we have kind of ups and downs across the year, but starting last fall, we went up and we haven't been down since. And so the demand has been constant. And as I said earlier, we lost a number of staff over through COVID. So, we've done well with COVID overall. We had some really good heads-up work by our staff and our nurses at the place, and we were able to keep us from having any major sort of outbreak that we did in both of our residential programs, actually in all three of our residential programs. Small outbreaks that we were able to manage pretty quickly, but we all, like everybody else, look forward to getting the heck out of that world and just going back to something kind of normal. And so at this time, as I said, we don't have any huge project, except we are looking to apply to the federal government, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, for a designation as a certified community behavioral health center, which wouldn't change anything outside for us, but it would give us the ability to do some services that we can't pull off right now because they're not actually services the state will pay for. They're not covered by Medicaid and Medicare. And so for 4 years, we would get a chance to be able to do some of those services. And if we can show that they're valuable, then we could figure out a way to get them paid for. So that's kind of a short and slick statement from me. I'm not too slick about most of the time, but...
Yeah, it sounds good. I have a question, and I get to ask this a few different times, and I know you have a good relationship with local law enforcement and of course the hospital, and you mentioned mental health partners, but I always wondered how people in the public, if they need your services, they generally need them before it's a crisis, before it's an emergency crisis. And I don't see that much advertisement for Lamoille County Mental Health, other than this flyer and things like that. I know where you are on Harold Street and everything, but I know there's folks in the community, and it may be, you may have a conduit to the school as well, but how do people get a hold of you and know the number? Other than when they get tangled up with law enforcement or the hospital, that to me is kind of like maybe not too late, but it's well on the way of a big problem.
Well, I gotta say that you hit the nail on my head, so to speak, in terms of It's actually something we've been pushing out for the last year. We have been running an ad in the News and Citizen and the Stowe Reporter every week for the last year.
That's good.
Box ad with a thing about the agency and the number, the crisis number. But previous to doing that, there really wasn't much public advertisement. So we have greatly enhanced our website, and we're working we actually just hired on a person to work with us who has some good skills on doing social media. We do have a Facebook page, we're going to have an Instagram page, but I think we have a lot farther to go with that.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right that it often is that people sort of like folks are talking about the Civil Authority Board, you know, you don't know that things are there until sometimes you go out and look for them. And even then, for, mental health had a bit of a stigma to it for a long time, so people you don't get a lot of word of mouth
Right.
when people don't want to say they can use your service.
Right.
So that's been difficult, but I think we're going to be putting out a lot more of that, and hopefully I'll come back sometime and you'll say, hey, I saw
Right.
that stuff.
I'm looking. I'm looking.
So, because it is really important. I mean, really, when we see people in a crisis, it's because they did need to be seen a lot sooner, and that they need to feel like it's easy to access us. That's part of the reason why we like the telehealth too, is because we have actually lowered people not showing up for appointments by about 20% by doing that. But I think we have to get a lot more savvy. We didn't have a PR person or anything. We still don't have anybody doing that full time, but we do have two people who are really getting better and better at doing this stuff. And one of them's a lot younger than me, so somebody who can talk to folks who are in their teens and 20s and be able to pass on the word. So I think it'll get better. We do actually get a lot of referrals from schools through this time period. We did a lot of work with the schools around giving teachers support to come in or give us a call as they needed to, and a lot of parents and a lot of telehealth visits to people in situations where they couldn't come out. And so I think we're on the road to becoming much more notable for the good reasons,
Right.
not for bad reasons.
That's great.
So it is a big important point. We do a lot of stuff on LVD. We will have all through May, every week on Wednesday mornings, we have kind of a talk interview piece with different people in our programs to talk about their programs. And we are recruiting quite a bit. So my HR person told me the other day that they're driving in and they're listening to themselves on the radio, and then they get someplace else and they see the picture on the website and they feel like they don't have their own life anymore.
Right.
So we're getting there.
That's great. Is there any other questions from the board members?
I just noticed in the newspaper about the money coming through maybe from the state for mental health agencies. Are you going to
Yes.
see any of that?
Well, yeah, usually about 4% of it. It's always a wee bit. And we're actually, part of what we're doing right now is really taking a chance on, we had some extra dollars coming through COVID, and we're going to do a pretty big raise for our staff based on the promise, and you all work with the state, so you know that sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's a tough road. But we are hoping to gain enough money to be able to give folks a pretty good sized raise and up the recruitment and also hold on to people better, because we have traditionally been one of the lower paying entities in the county. And we won't suddenly be the most high paying one, but
Right.
at least we'll be a little better off. And so we have worked, all the agencies in the state work together through the Vermont Care Partners and try to work with the legislature, and Dave Yacarone and Rich Westman have been very helpful to us in the past week, getting the, I think, the dollars that you're talking about. That really will help us through June, but we're also working on trying to get some increases for next year so that we can be able to put more advertising out there and get more people able to be aware of us and not feel like they shouldn't call because it's going to cost a lot of money or anything like that. We always work out a way to make sure that people get what they need, and we try to collect on the other side of that the best we can.
That sounds great. Well, I think my board members would agree that we think it's a very valuable service that you guys have here, and we appreciate you taking the time to come in and giving us a lowdown.
Most happy to do so. Appreciate the invitation and appreciate the services that the town provides us to try to make things get better for everyone.
Great. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that quite a few years ago, I lived right
Yep.
in front of your building there. But as a legislator with Dave, we're down there at one of your annual meetings, and there was this young lad from town who was very troubled, and he'd been going there for I don't know how many years, but he got an award for whatever he was able to accomplish that year. And I know the kid pretty well, and you might be interested in knowing that he has since did a bunch of broadcasting at the basketball games and sports games of all kinds, and he's now going into broadcasting school. And that was all done from our little Mohawk County Mental Health building down in the back there. And I'm sure there's several stories like that.
Well, we've been very lucky that both in our developmental services program and our mental health program for adults, that we have generally had the highest employment rates in the state for people with mental illness and developmental service needs. And we are also involved with the Reach Up program through the state to provide them with some mental health services. And they had the highest employment rate. So we seem to have a pretty good touch about helping people find what it is that they feel like they want to do, figuring out how to do it, and then very often having success with it. It's a great story.
Yeah, good story.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to number 2. Discuss a long-term lease for Rescue Squad classroom by Copley Hospital.
I was contacted by Mark Sutton, who's administrator at Copley Hospital. He handles the buildings and grounds, the services there. Copley is embedded with Vermont Technical College in their nursing program. And they have a large quantity of the nursing students there at the hospital, and it's taken up a lot of their conference room space, which has become a little problematic for their staff who might have their normal meetings. We're trying to find space for that. They reached out to us to see if it would be possible, as they have used our training space, classroom space at the Rescue Squad for other classes for their staff, to see if they could enter into a long-term agreement with us for use of the classroom Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Basically, they're going to use that for the training for the nursing students, so that way they can free up their conference room. I looked at and talked to Bill Mace about the Monday through Friday piece, and with my assurance that stipulation would be in the agreement that if there was such a time that the Rescue Squad had the need for the use of the classroom, we'd make our best effort to relocate their training for that day, perhaps down to this room, to accommodate the Rescue Squad. But Bill said it gets very little use during the week, during the day. Their training is particularly in the evening. So he didn't see an issue with it there. Square footage wise, well, I put $10 a square foot, which is a pretty common lease price. What they've got up there brings us to about a $500 a month fee or $25 a day. It works out about the same. I ran that dollar figure past Mark Sutton, he ran up the chain, and they were pleased with that, and said they would enter into an agreement. So if you folks are in agreement with that, I would look for a motion to approve that. I'll engage our attorney to draw up a lease agreement, and I'll bring it back to you for signature at a later date.
Yeah, my big thing was Bill being okay with it.
Yeah, as I expressed to Eric, we do have some days that are already blocked out. We have a previous relationship with Copley where they use that classroom about 2 days a month
Right.
for training programs for their staff that EMS staff can also attend. We also have some blocked out days coming up for police, fire, and public works for annual education that we provide to them for CPR, stop and bleed, first aid, things like that. So those dates, I can get with Corey tomorrow. Corey does the classroom scheduling, and we can get those dates to make sure that we'd rather not move those dates because they've been fixed for some time.
Right.
But other than that, as long as it's carry in, carry out for them, for food, cleaning, things like that,
Right.
I think we're good to go.
Okay, yeah, we just wanted to have your blessing before we say yes.
And then, does that help out the rescue squad, that $500 a month? Does that go into a general fund and?
Goes to the general fund.
Okay, the general fund,
Any
the
income
town,
like that goes to general fund.
the town's general fund?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, do I hear a motion?
I make the motion to rent the Morristown EMS classroom to the Copley Hospital at a rate of $500 monthly, terms to be determined at a later date.
All right, I have a motion by Gary and a second by Judy. Is there further discussion? Just for clarification, the training room is what the former garage bay was of the original building, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Are they looking for a year, or just, is it a month at a time?
I'll check them on their comfort level. We can do it on a fiscal year. I would probably say we run it for the 17 months, 16 months, taking them through the fiscal year 22-23. And then we can reassess and see if there's a need to increase the rates, or if they're still happy with the agreement. We'll give them an exit clause, so to speak, if it's not working out.
It's good, because I know we need nurses. So this is helping to train local nurses, right? Hopefully we'll get the benefit of it. We're not guaranteed
I
that.
can't guarantee that.
All right, is there any further discussion on this?
Yes, any question? So what about insurance?
They're going to provide their own insurance.
Okay.
Yes.
I knew you were going to ask that.
Yep.
That's
Well,
right.
I just, want to make sure that they're covered.
Yep.
Good
question.
They could have added that in my piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will.
I figured it was a lawyer that had it all.
Yeah, good question. All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously. Next, number 3, signed grant agreement resolution, single grantee for Village Center Apartments.
I'm going to let our in-house resident finance expert discuss this with
This is just another piece of moving forward with getting the grant application from BCDP approved. They require this resolution from the board to be able to be filed with the grant, so.
Okay, it's a housekeeping thing then.
Yes, there's a lot of little pieces to this, and this is just one of the pieces.
Okay,
This is Hutchinson Street, right?
That's right.
do I hear a motion regarding this?
So moved, or that did say something more.
Just, you can sign it, yeah.
Okay,
I don't even know that you need a motion, but you just all need to sign it.
Yeah.
okay. That's what Gary had.
We'll do the motion anyway. Is there a second? All right, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously.
So Tina has been very busy working with the staff from LHP and
Evernorth.
in helping to understand the contract and the sub-grantee responsibilities versus the grantee responsibilities. It's a very complex set of rules to try and digest. They've been good to work with, but it's taken a lot of Tina's time to do this.
Okay. Thanks, Tina.
Just one of the many advantages of getting that free money.
Yeah, okay. The one that's not gonna take any time from us.
Right.
Okay, we'll do number 4, authorize Eric Dodge to sign stormwater permit on the board's behalf. You have that
This
right
is a
there.
permit for the Polk Meadow property, which we took over the roads for
Right.
2 years ago, I think it was.
Yep.
And Nick Donaldson, who is the overseer of the Master Association, so they have a homeowners association up there.
Right.
Nick has a Master Association, and because we own a portion of the impervious surface, being the roads and sidewalks,
Right.
it's a shared stormwater responsibility. So what he did is brought this to us to show the fact that there are 2 responsible parties, or permittees, I guess is the term. And you'll see in letter C at the bottom of the page, applicant B1, which is Polk Meadow Master Association, is offered to take care of the annual operating fee with the state. So there's no cost to the taxpayers on this. This is simply, this project, this property here does not fall under the 3-acre rule the ANR instituted for impervious surfaces. If they, in the future, decide to reduce the size of that impervious surface requirement, this property may come underneath that. So this system is already in place. We're well ahead of the game on this. The soils up there are very sandy. The water, to date, Nick has never even seen water standing in their settling ponds.
It's all sand, yeah.
They're going to just drain down very nicely.
Yeah.
So,
Is this going to be an annual thing or just a one and done?
one and done.
Well, they have to pay an annual fee, right?
They are.
Annual fee, but
Yeah,
we don't have to.
So the Master Association pays the annual fee. We'll always be known as the second permitting.
All right, do we hear a motion regarding this?
So move.
Motion by Gary, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. Boy, it's nice having everybody here tonight. Is there any further discussion on this?
Do we authorize Eric to sign it?
That was part of your motion, right, Gary?
Motion.
Thank you.
Is this a common thing that we do, is share a stormwater permit with a development? I'm just curious to know, I mean, especially in light of the current rate of development in Morristown and the stress, the imminent stress I can see on our infrastructure. Just I'm curious to know if this is.
It's a good question. Yes, so right now, part of my notes to you folks tonight, I've been in conversation with Jim Pease because the Jersey Heights development is identified as a 3-acre plus impervious surface development. And we own about 1/3 of that surface because we have the roads and sidewalks. The homeowners own the 2/3 of it. There are difficulties with this one. They're kind of complex, as a matter of fact, because where the stormwater drains off to currently, the water runs there across through the open meadow. It's green space for the project. And then it goes from there down into the brook and then down.
You live right there.
I live right there, yeah.
Yeah, it basically flows down through to the river.
Goes right down to your basement, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Exactly.
So part of that is the Department of Environmental Conservation has obtained funding through ARPA funds to pay for the installation of the system. The complexity comes in that the residents out there are reluctant, in fact refusing to join or form a homeowners association. They need a nonprofit to give the money to complete the project. They don't have one. And the land where the water all flows to is green space. It has a $0 value, has 0 taxation for the town, and currently has no owner assigned to it because it is green space for a project. So we're working through trying to figure out exactly how we're going to progress with this. And we don't know, Jim Pease can't say because he doesn't know about the enforcement arm from DEC. And if the homeowners don't form, if they don't choose to take the money will get redistributed somewhere else, but the project will remain. And what that will mean, we don't know. I've heard things, but I'm not going to speak them out loud because I don't know.
Do you know about it, Gary?
Pardon me?
You know something about that over there?
Something about what?
That's what I thought.
I don't, guess I don't understand where they're saying it goes across the green space.
There's a 2.6 acre green space on the, let's see if I get my directions right. It would be on the east side of the condominium development
Yeah.
and on the north side of all the housing, kind of in behind Audi Lane.
Right.
Right.
And that's where all the stormwater drains come out.
It
daylight.
discharges into that swale that goes down through.
Correct. The
It doesn't
state,
go across that green space.
you know, the green space is where they want to put the filtration.
Oh, I see,
The
okay.
in-ground filtration. It's very similar system to what's underneath the dog park and what they're going to put into the municipal parking lot this spring.
Okay.
The exact same style, but a larger one. And, you know, so we're working through it. I can't give you any more than that, just that I've had conversations with Jim Keys. I've talked to one of the residents up there who is acting more kind of as a spokesperson, but not really a formed entity. He just lives there with his family, and he's been in touch with many of the homeowners up there. So we're kind of stuck at an impasse. We aren't doing anything wrong. We're ready to move as soon as they're ready to move, but it's not a project that, because we own a third, it's not a project that I feel taxpayers of the entire town should have to fund.
But this isn't something that would hold up what we're doing tonight, to sign this stormwater permit.
But that's what I guess what
This
I'm
is-
asking, like, going forward, are we gonna end up in a situation where the taxpayers will be responsible for a private entity's stormwater? That's what I don't
Well, they're a
understand.
it's not a private entity, it's
Okay.
a section 10 we own a third of.
Okay, because
So
of the
they've
roads.
identified that whole project there, all of the houses there, as a part of a project that covers an over 3 acre space with their roofs and their driveways.
Right,
So it's not like a private development, it's a public development. The roads through it are public and public
Yeah.
access. So we own storm drains and stormwater, and we're already doing that. The work we're doing armoring ditches and these filtration projects are all part of keeping the phosphates and other pollutants out of Lake Champlain and the Loyal River Basin. So
right.
we're doing that work anyway.
Just
and
goes down to your
we own
house.
storm drains.
Does this affect almost everything from Cottage Street, kind of, no, what direction is that? South?
Yeah, because,
It doesn't include Cottage Street because it's
Let's
only the
pause.
portions that were defined by the boundaries of the project itself.
All the houses on Foss going up to,
Foss Street is a part of it.
and Audie Lane,
That's
yeah.
correct.
and Audie, not Audie,
Audie Lane
Not Audie Lane,
wouldn't be
Just Foss Street.
yeah.
Foss in Jersey. Is it Jersey Heights?
Jersey Court,
Jersey
Jersey
Court.
Way.
Jersey Way, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that storm drain system goes, I don't know, I put it all in. It goes-
Yeah, I know you did. That's what I was picking on you.
But it discharges, I don't think there's any discharge down on Cottage Street, other than what runs down the ditches normally. I mean,
The natural runoff.
yeah, it all discharges, because there's a 50-foot right-of-way, because that was going across the Best Street, because when that subdivision was created, the town wanted to extend Best Street across and
Right.
tie into Jersey Way.
Right.
Uh,
Which never happened.
Which never happened because times changed and then people didn't.
People change.
People changed their minds and they didn't want a street through there.
Mhm.
That's why there's a 90-degree turn there coming off of Cottage Street, because that right-of-way was supposed to go across on the Best Street.
Right.
But that's where that's where the stormwater all discharges, is right in that swale
Yeah.
of Best Street. And it always, I mean, all the water always went there, so.
Yep. It'll continue to go there, they just wanted to go through this
I mean,
filtration.
even before there was
Right.
development there, the water all went there.
Right.
So the chances are, if that group doesn't take the money, they're gonna be financially responsible for putting some type of system in.
Which we don't know. It's what part of the argument from the homeowners over there is that many of the homeowners live below the elevation where that stormwater goes into those drains. So they don't feel that the water, rainwater hitting their roof drains off into that system. They don't think they should be held accountable to pay for it.
Yeah.
So it's not infighting because there's not really a formed group over there. It's just
Right.
every homeowner over there has a position as to whether or not they would be impacted by it financially, and nobody, you know, I don't know what the end result will be.
Can they run it through the condominium owners association? I believe there's a formal association there.
Oh, there is there, yeah. There's
The
association.
condominium owners.
I can check into that.
Yeah.
It was-
I'm pretty sure there's an
There is.
official homeowners, or a condominium owners association, and that storm drainage goes right around behind that whole thing. So they might be able to
Use
get permission through there, because they abut all that common land.
yeah.
There's, as with any of these projects, a continuing annual stormwater fee paid to the state. It's about $2,500 a year. So that's a fee that the taxpayers would be on the hook for 1/3 of, basically.
Okay, all right. All in favor, say aye on this.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm gonna say nay because I don't understand it well enough.
Okay. The motion is passed 4-1.
Yeah,
I remembered where we were.
amazing.
Okay, next, approve the purchase of the Bobcat. Kevin, want to chime in on that?
Yes, we've come to our decision to purchase another Bobcat. We're the one we have, trade that in. With Champlain Valley Equipment out of St. Albans. We've dealt with them a lot. They've been always very good with us. This is where we got our tool cat. All of our attachments, we'll just swap right over onto this machine.
No, you have two now, right?
We have a Bobcat and a tool cat.
Okay, you don't have two Bobcats, because
No.
these, okay,
No, the one Bobcat would be traded in towards this new.
okay. And you're still going to use the tool cat for sweeping or whatever, I know you use it for that.
Yep.
Toolcat's also our backup machine for sidewalk clearing in the
Yeah.
wintertime.
What's, you probably already said this, but what's the purpose of the Bobcat? What's the use for?
Well, we use it for picking up leaves, debris in the fall. We use it for grinding. We don't use the one we have right now for grinding culvert cuts and pavement because the machine doesn't have a high flow system in it. So we've been using the tool cat, which isn't really ideal for that machine because it doesn't have the speed reduction that the Bobcat will have, or does have. So it would make it more efficient with that implement to be used.
And where's the money coming from?
Money comes from,
Money comes
Trade-in.
money comes from the account, we have established a fund for trade-in.
Okay,
I
I remember that.
Yeah, do you remember the reason for it?
Yes,
Okay, so that trade-in account roughly has $58,000 in it right now.
okay,
So this could be funded fully by that, you would not have to finance it
Right.
at all.
I'm actually surprised that Bobcat's not more money, because they've been that cost for a long time. Remember, the last one was like 47,000 we paid for it, or something like that. But, the one you have is pretty tired.
Oh, yes, very tight.
Is there a place you can sell that? That's just trade-in.
That's a trade-in.
The motion you have in front of you, the dollar figure includes a $10,000 trade-in.
Oh, got it, yep.
Okay, so that's why it's less than, it would normally be a $62,000 vehicle.
And that was like 10 years ago, wasn't it, or something like that? I think that, remember we bought that Bobcat? Had to be 10 years.
That's a tool cat.
2012, so
Yeah,
that would be just
10 years.
about, be just about 10
yeah,
years,
I thought it was.
if my calculations are correct.
Yes.
Okay, do I hear a motion regarding this?
Yep, I move to use Champlain Valley Equipment as a sole source vendor to purchase a 2022 Bobcat skid steer loader. Using Champlain Valley Equipment will allow us to use the attachments we already own.
And a
And
motion
motion
by,
purchase the 2022 Bobcat skid steer loader for $52,444 from Champlain Valley Equipment Incorporated. Funds to be utilized out of the highway equipment trading account.
Second.
I have a motion by Gary and a second by Brian. Is there any further discussion? I was just gonna bring up the fact that it's a sole source vendor, and we always try to get 3
Yeah.
quotes when we can, but I know we've used them for a lot over the years, and I know that's a question that people bring up from time to time. You bring it up quite often. Trying to get 3 bids when we buy anything, but in this case, it's not really applicable.
It's the attachments too, so.
Like the attachments, if you've got a Bobcat, if there's any other place to get a Bobcat, you can use your attachments just the same. And that's what I wasn't sure. Is there another place to?
To get a, locally, not a Bobcat dealer. The one that was over the rental place in Essex has now gone all to Kubota. They don't
Yeah, they
use
have,
Bobcat
yeah.
anymore.
That was my,
Essex.
Yeah.
that's one reason why
Yeah.
I go sole service.
Right.
Because you know, you don't want to go to Florida again.
Champlain Valley has bought out most of the competition, so.
Right.
Yeah.
There used to be several dealers for Bobcat.
Right.
They've purchased them all.
Again, if there was a Bobcat dealer around, I always like to get 3 bids and
Yep.
just see it looks better and
Make people,
maybe somebody else give you a better deal, but you know.
right.
They've been good, I know they have, but.
Well, I'm surprised it's not more money, actually,
Yeah.
honestly, but. All right, is there any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, aye, sorry.
Motion is passed unanimously. Number 6, amend the motion for the police 2021 Dodge Charger lease. What is that about? Jason, you know? Or Tina?
When we just picked the car up last week, and the dealership included the registration fee, right?
It's $47 more than what your original motion to buy, to lease it was, but we have to have it be right, so that's why it's in front of you, because they put the title and registration in the lease amount, and we didn't have that in the original quote.
It was only $47?
Yes, I'm sorry, it seems ridiculous maybe, but we've got to do it
No.
this way.
I think that's
So who's
good.
the one who made the mistake?
That's why the auditors are always happy with you.
How'd they know to check? Oh, theirs.
Do I hear a motion about this?
Make a motion to approve it.
I have a motion by Brian. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who's first? Judy.
Judy.
All right, any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously. Number 7, approve the sole source vendor for library boiler replacement.
So as I gave you a heads up with an email earlier, Fred's Energy had gone over to the library to do service work on the furnace, the boiler over there, and discovered a major defect in the top of the boiler. In fact, the bolts were all gone. There was a danger of carbon monoxide. It was in pretty rough shape. And they determined the need to replace the furnace immediately. So that was done hastily.
Right. They just went in and took it out.
They did. Disconnected it, took it out, and have since replaced it. Not going. Their original quote for the replacement was over $16,000. $16,282. The actual work, once they get in there, they realize they didn't have to replace as much as they thought they were going to have to. So the actual invoice came in at $13,183.68, which is about $3,000 less than what they had estimated.
Yeah. I appreciated your email back to them that the town usually doesn't do business that way, and it wasn't
Yeah.
appropriate, but I thought you handled it very well.
Yeah.
Was there like a safety concern or
There
an
was.
issue of also it's just cold and you can't go without heat or?
A little both.
Yeah.
But it was the safety concern, they were concerned about the carbon monoxide
Yeah.
escaping from the furnace itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I hear a motion regarding this?
I make a motion we approve the sole source vendor for, as Fred's Energy for the library boiler replacement
And then, second.
in the amount of
Yep.
$13,183.68.
Perfect. I have a motion by Jess. Do I have a second? Second by Gary. Is there any further discussion on this?
Yes.
Go ahead, Brian.
Again, sole serve.
Right.
Why, was there somebody else could have done it, or?
Fred's is our contracted service provider for routine maintenance and for all our fuel boilers. It was the the immediacy of the danger of the carbon monoxide. It had to be done right then and there versus going around to get bids. I can tell you that I called 3 different places, all local, Grosso's, County Plumbing and Heating, and
Warrants?
And asked them to please get in touch with me as soon as possible so they can get over there, take a look at it, give us their estimates. And the next day, the boiler had been replaced, and I had not heard from any one of the 3 being able to make arrangements to go over and see if we called them all up and canceled.
I wanted that on record, that's good. That we should try to do that, because, again, there is other people who could have done this. Again, probably not as quick.
All right,
We have installation, we have original estimates, so are we voting on?
the
one and
13,000,
the other?
yeah.
The 13,000.
It came in cheaper because you didn't have to replace as many of the
Oh, okay,
components.
so just the top one.
Yeah, it's the top one. All right, any further discussion on this?
I guess it may beg the question of, why didn't they see, like, the maintenance schedule, and why wouldn't, like, a problem like this get kind of picked up?
This is
Sooner.
new. We just changed from Bourne's to Fred's.
Oh,
This is the first contact.
That's why.
So,
I
yeah.
thought we had warrants before.
okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Where's this money coming from?
We're gonna hope we have enough left over, Brian, that's where it's coming from. However, if we don't, at the end of the year, if it looks like we've overspent our budget as a whole, this would be eligible to be taken out of undesignated general fund reserves because it's an emergency fix that we did not have budgeted. We had no way of doing that, and it qualifies to be taken out of that fund.
So they have it down, why did they pay for it out of that?
We own the building, they don't, that's not their responsibility, we have to
Right.
maintain it.
Oh, okay.
Good question, though.
And so is the former business that was doing maintenance not responsible in any way for, or liable in any way for the fact that all
That
the,
would be an attorney's assessment. I guess.
yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to start anything, I'm just curious.
Right.
Okay,
No, they probably all go mad, so it's just a matter of
right.
quite a chunk. And now, who made the decision to change it?
That was on Fred. It
The
was
tech.
based on their expertise and their,
But somebody had to give Fred authorization. Who given that?
you're doing that with your vote tonight?
Yeah.
That's
So
my
it's all
email. My email this week explained exactly what transpired.
Yeah.
And they are very clear on how we do business. They own the responsibility of not following their own protocols because they changed that out without even a signature from me, and I'm not allowed to sign for that much money. So they apologized greatly, and I think part of that price reduction reflects a bit of forgiveness perhaps
Maybe.
from us.
Yeah, the tech just took it out and just,
It didn't follow their channels for getting the signatures as it was supposed to have. It got away from Cody, and he apologized immensely for it. It won't happen again. So.
okay. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed unanimously. Next, approve the warrants. Do I hear a motion regarding?
Motion to approve them?
I have a motion by Brian. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Jess. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The warrants are passed unanimously. Next is TA report, Eric.
Yeah, been a little while since I had a chance to talk to you folks. Bring up the date. The hearing order is being drafted on our Act 50 permit. Yeah, they're working on the final permit and findings of fact. The findings of fact were drawn up by our attorney. There were a couple of small items left unexplained. The question will be answered as a part of this process to finalize things. But the large ticket items were all taken care of at the December hearing.
Wow.
So we're moving in the right direction with our permit, and hopefully in the next few months we'll have that in hand and be able to begin our work up there.
I know Kevin's smiling behind that mask. He's not showing it, but that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna go his garage the other day, and Kevin was already talking to his people about how he was gonna start approaching it as soon as the snow was off. So
Yeah,
he's ready to go.
good.
Been working with Stephanie Magden, our consultant for the local hazard mitigation plan. We have been meeting every week, and I'm hoping this week we'll have a final product that we'll be able to put in front of the select board and open up for public review. Following that, it goes on to Vermont Emergency Management for their stamp of approval. But at least we're going to meet our deadline of 1 April, so that's all moving in the right direction. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with Marshall Water and Light, with Jason and Kevin, to discuss the Green River Reservoir Dam Breach exercise. They have to conduct one of these every 5 years. This one's a little more complex than the normal tabletop, so they tell me. So we're going to get together tomorrow and discuss some of the particulars of it in a general sense. And over the next few months, we'll be refining that process, bringing in VEM and their consultants and their people to help guide us, and putting on a good exercise to practice the response and recovery from a dam breach at Green River.
Okay.
We're going to finish that conversation that day talking about summer projects. So Water Light, I'm aware of, has got some projects over on Summer Street, Union Street area. They want to do some digging in the ground there, so it's not a good time for us to put on new pavement, just
Right.
having to dig through it, so.
Good to have that coordination.
Yeah, the ongoing communication with the village crews to make sure we're all working in the same direction. I've already talked about meeting with LCPC on Thursday. Met with Tyler Munley and Gary and Kevin to discuss more about the Walton Road Bridge project. Tyler is firming up the RFP for that to get that ready to go. Hopefully the voters will approve that at the town meeting on the Australian ballot. And in line with that, the state has given us notification that the structures grant application period is opening. The deadline is April 15th. It is also tied in with the TA-60, which is a financial report for the town that Tina fills out and sends in. So we're going to be applying for a structures grant to cover down on some of the costs associated with that bridge project. The maximum allowed amount by statute is $200,000. The top amount last year was $175,000. So it's all based on how much money is appropriated by the legislature and how many projects are applied for. I feel pretty strongly about Walton Road Bridge, as we had a report on it and an inspection from the state. They've identified it as a problem bridge. So with their report and our engineer's report, I feel pretty good about our chances of getting some grant money for that.
That's great.
That's all I have.
Great. So any questions for Eric? Thanks, Eric. Next, select board concerns. Gary?
I was just gonna bring up what Eric just talked about, the Walton Road Bridge. I've been pushing the engineer to get this prepared and ready to go out to bid sooner than later, just due to the fact that I know that if we hold off too long, the prices are gonna be much worse than they will be now, because I know some of the larger contractors are already getting filled up for next year, and I wanna get this in there so we can get some numbers back. And if, right now, I got my doubts if we'll ever get it back before town meeting day, any prices, but by some miracle that we do, it will be contingent upon, being passed by the voters at town meeting,
Right.
appropriation.
Be ready to hit the ground running.
But we gotta be ready, because like I say, I know one of the real good bridge contractors is already full for this year and for the next. So
Maybe hard to find somebody.
sooner than later is better.
Yeah. All right, is that it?
Yep, that's it. I think the boys did a heck of a job of getting the snow cleaned up, and I know I mentioned to Shelley, I said it's pretty hard to believe you get a snowstorm of 13 to 16 inches and next day you're driving on dry, bare blacktop. You know, it's,
Yeah.
and, you know, it's, just due to the hard work and dedication of our employees and the state people as well.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Probably don't get that down in New Jersey or
No.
south of here. In fact, it takes them a little longer to take care of that stuff.
Well, they retrofit the trash trucks and plow.
Right, yeah.
Judy?
I just wanted to share a couple of things. One is that LCPC, the Lamoille Basin Water Quality Council, is looking for a representative from our area to serve on this council. And I'd like to know by February 7th. I've reached out to our Conservation Commission, haven't heard back from anybody. I know that Megan from LCPC also reached out to them. So someone who's passionate about water quality might be interested in serving on this council, so.
I thought you were volunteering.
No,
for it.
no.
I saw that on
What it
there.
sounded like.
It did.
Make a nomination.
Nothing. And I just encourage people to write to the A&R, and I don't know who else I have to write to about the Green River Reservoir, about the state taking it over, so we can keep it and it doesn't get eliminated,
Yeah, drained.
drained, yeah.
Is that
That's
it?
it. Yes.
And there's a link, sorry to interrupt you, Judy, but there's a link on the Morrisville Water and Light website. I got a notice in my bill, but
Yeah.
is there a link on the Morrisville Water and Light?
I think there might be.
Where
I
you
think we
can-
all got that in
okay.
our bill, so
Mhm.
I didn't bring that information with me.
Okay.
All right, Jess.
Do right.
I have a few things. One, I also wanted to thank Kevin and everyone in the highway department for all the great work cleaning up the recent snowstorm. It's really appreciated.
Thank you.
And I also want to thank, I don't know if it's River Arts that redecorates this room and the rest of the town offices, but I really enjoy seeing the artwork change in here. And it's really a great aspect of the town, River Arts.
Tricia Fowler is the one that.
Tricia coordinates it?
Tricia coordinates all this.
Yeah.
River Arts is a big part, yes.
Okay, oh, great, because Tricia's on or the president of the board of directors of River Arts, is that correct?
And that's what her title is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, she's on the board.
yeah, great. And then I have something to present that was just brought to my attention, so it's a little rough, but basically the idea is that I would present it today and then send you all a link about it, and then possibly make a motion in the next meeting or in meetings to come. There was a declaration of inclusion that Phil Scott made, and I believe it was last year. And there is a movement by the Vermont League of Cities and Towns and many other towns in Vermont to have different municipalities just pledge our commitment to inclusivity. And there may be a lot of questions about exactly what that means. And so basically, by adopting a declaration of inclusion, we would be making a statement to our citizens that our town believes in treating everyone fairly and recognizing that everyone does not act or look alike, and that we try to put forth hiring practices and police protocols that really focus on inclusion and try to work towards diminishing the effects of white privilege. And I know this may be a contentious issue for some people, but I think it really is more about just about welcoming diversity and bringing new vitality to our economy. And also, we can also look at it in light of and in response to perhaps changing demographics in our town around the changes in work patterns, people working remotely with COVID, bringing, like a lot of new housing development, bringing in more diversity into our town. So anyway, there's a lot of information that may be a bit more articulate than what I just said, but there's many other towns in Vermont who have adopted this, and I'd be happy to share the information with everyone and a proposed motion, and then we can just go from there. But I just wanted to put it out there and share it with you as a preliminary measure today.
I know LCPC, there's a JEDI committee and I'm working on this also.
Oh, great.
And they're putting together a document, so we might want to have.
Oh, great.
When that's finished, and it's really close to being finished, bringing it here to the table.
Oh, great. Okay.
So the JEDI stands for Justice, Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion.
Okay, any questions about that?
And I'll just share that via email and then coordinate with you, Judy. And yeah, thank you.
Okay. Brian, do you have anything?
My thing was just to thank the guys for plowing and shoveling and bucket loading. Did a wonderful job.
With an 18-hour shift, following a 10-hour shift with only 6 hours turnaround, so that storm just continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Yeah.
Now they're cleaning up.
Now we're cleaning up.
Yeah. I guess you guys all stormed my thunder because I had to thank the highway tonight.
That's.
Well, I go to work, everyone knows, at 3:30 in the morning, and you know, my road's plowed at 3:30 in the morning, and I come down to town and these guys are working like crazy. I sent Kevin a text the other morning at 3:30 and just thanked him for what he's doing. It's like, you don't realize how much work it is. And I'm not taking anything away from the rest of our departments. I love our EMS and our police, but these guys are kind of unsung heroes in a way. And if you see what they do at 3:30 in the morning, it's pretty impressive. And you know, it's awesome. So that's why I wanted to thank you as well. I know my road has never been in better shape than it is this year, and I thank you for that. Thank all the guys.
I will, thank you both, thank everyone.
Yeah. So that's all I have. Is there anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Judy and a second by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now adjourned.